My pleasure to invite on stage for a quick presentation before we break for lunch, the Managing Director, India and SAARC McAfee, Mr. Jagdish Mahapatra. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Mahapatra.
Good afternoon, everybody. I thought it was a very lively panel discussion, really enjoyed thoroughly. I thought questions were getting very passionate, so I was almost itching to answer that, but probably we could do that over lunch. So I think I have about, how much, 20 minutes or 30 minutes, like so. So it's an enormous task that I have been assigned, is to stand between you and lunch. Alright, and I'm also cognizant of the fact that you've been hearing a lot of people through the day. So my promise to you will be, I'll try and be brief, try and give you any product slides, I'll refrain from that. And try and build on a few things that were discussed in the panel discussion. So, surprisingly, right, not really surprisingly, but there are two things that kept on coming up there: mobility and cloud. And pretty much the two biggest phenomena in IT in last decade, I would, if I were to call out, right? And most of the concerns around that are around security. So, as a security vendor, where do we play? So the third paradigm that we are all, apart from mobility and cloud, is the fact that today your reaction time is shifting by, I can't even put a number to it. When I joined McAfee about 2 years back, and we have this global threat intelligence cloud where we are monitoring the internet traffic 24/7. That's our job, right? The security company, we do that for a living. So at that time, when I joined 2 years back, we were detecting one malware, any malicious code, every minute. Take a guess, how many malwares do we detect now? 2 years down. We're detecting one malware every second. That's the shift in 2 years. So the fact of the matter today is, it's not really about having the best security products and technologies, which many of you here would have done that over a period of time. It's important to know what is happening now, and can I protect myself right now? I don't know how many of you read the news today in it's Times of India or Mumbai Mirror, I'm forgetting that, about the IRCTC website hacking. Did you catch that up? Live in Mumbai Mirror, I think. So there's a young boy, I guess he's not done graduation, who managed to hack into IRCTC website and could almost corner all the important tickets and then sell them in black. Did you read that about that? He got arrested. Now IRCTC, very close to them, and I know what kind of work they have done to secure their website. They've got their best products and technologies. What they couldn't figure out is, when that was happening, they had no idea of that happening. So they figured that out almost 48 hours of that thing happening. So the need of the hour today is not to tell you that can you secure, it's given. There's enough security technologies to give you that comfort. The important thing is, can you know it when it is happening, and can you take action basis the intelligence that's coming to you. And for next 20-25 minutes, I'm going to probably focus around that. So we keep doing a lot of research as part of our job, and one of the things we worked out around is how this cyber threat, cyber security economy is building, and you'll be surprised. How many of you have heard about the dark web? Did you all read about the article on dark web? It was all over the place about 4 months back. So the dark internet is almost 3 times of the internet that you and I interact with. These are servers, these are IP addresses which are beneath the surface. It's happening now. It started off as a defense project, as most of the time it starts with a good, noble thing in mind. Eventually got in the hands of people it shouldn't be getting into. Have you heard of Silk Road? The guy who got arrested is the founder of Silk Road. We all grew up reading about Silk Route. This is something which is redefining the history. So the guy is a young guy, very innocuous looking. The fact of the matter is, it's a whole big economy which is working there, and we can only blind ourselves from it and say it doesn't exist. The fact of the matter is, it exists. And adding on to the 2 points of topic here, I'll just probably give you a little trivia. I've spoken that enough. There are more, so this devices thing, right? So I know how many of you know that. There are more mobile phones in this world than toothbrushes. Are you aware of that? Statistic, 5 billion mobile phone shipment, YTD of last quarter. It's 5 billion. Do that. The the toothbrush industry data from IMRB for last year is 2 billion. All right, so that's a reality that we are going to go and adopt more and more devices, but importantly, the things which are physical, probably a year back or for so many years, are going to get digital. So whether it's a light point, the AC point, or for that matter, the medical equipments. So we are not dealing with now monetary loss or reputational loss for that matter. We're possibly dealing with life losses. If you could tamper with a remote device in the medical, today remote telemedicine is the way moving forward. If you could tamper with the insulin level of a patient, you're dealing with life here. So this is something right in front of us that we got to be dealing with, right? So that's first part. Secondly, on the cloud bit, I think cloud, to me, I would probably sum up this way. For last 20 years, we've grown up on Windows, client-server architecture. Security has been built looking at client-server architecture in mind. With cloud, it's a distributed environment. So some of those assumptions and hypotheses of security are not valid anymore. So I kept on hearing about, which application should go, which one shouldn't, discussion, XP. The fact of the matter is some of those assumptions are getting challenged, and that's why it's important for us to understand why are we looking security differently. Moving on, I mean, these are all examples where we are going online, using cloud more. I've got an 8-year-old daughter who possibly uses cloud. 90% of her life is around cloud, whether it is a school assignment or the way she learns from YouTube. The fact of the matter is whether we like it or not, it has become part of our life, and we're going to get more and more online. And this survey, next slide, will tell you that India is one of the early, in fact, one of the leaders in terms of really sharing data online. These are all, third-party reports, and you can see there, we are way, way ahead of the global average. So the fact of the matter is we're going to get more and more online. I don't remember last time when you actually go, I went ahead and bought a ticket through an agent. Do these even exist? Have you ever thought about what's happening? Some of these business models are getting, why are these retail organizations like Snapdeal and all the big ones in news are getting getting all these fundings from? The fact of the matter is that retailing is going so much online way. So the fact is, this is the reality that businesses are going to go. The only thing that will probably stop you is in what phases do you want to go and what apps do you want to really open out, right? Coming back now to security. Everybody has invested there. Everybody here has endpoint security. You'll have firewalls. You'll have IPSs. You would have done all this. So when I joined McAfee, I thought that the first thing that I should learn the lesson on security is to go back and meet some, experienced CIOs and CISOs. Some of you are here. So I met one of my old friends in a bank. He's one of the largest banks. He was a CISO there, doesn't work there anymore. And I asked him that, what do you do for security? Because I just really want to really hear it from a user point of view. So he said, we are very well invested. We got all technologies there. And then I said, can you just show me your dashboard? So he showed me his dashboard, and there was about, in his laptop, close to about 17 dashboards that he was analyzing. So I said, okay, how do you take a decision? He said, we correlate this dashboard, and we've got very smart guys who can correlate this and take a decision. Okay, fine. I said, good, smart guys. But smart guys are married. Smart guys go through traffic of Mumbai. They can have a bad day. All right, can you depend on a person to decide and correlate that 17 dashboards and take a decision when really the threat is there? So the answer was yes, tough. Can we correlate it to one dashboard? Yes, but nobody has done that. So these are thoughts which came from him freewheeling, and that got me thinking that probably the right way to look at it is not about technology anymore. It's really about making technology available on real time in a dashboard which can be understood, and that will help people take decisions fast. So the key thing I'm trying to make here is these things have always been there. What is important is not about best of the breed technology and the way we have bought it. It's really about can you connect all of them together. And that's the key thing, that's where it is coming down to. Prime example of what happened with IRCTC is that. It's not really about whether you've bought those technologies, because you have. So I think the point I'm trying to allude is advanced persistent threat or advanced malware, all the stuff that we talk in security from any industry point of view. What is important is, can you really know about the attack that is happening to you at that time, and as an organization, are you able to defend yourself? I think that's what it's really finally boiling down to, right? And so I'm going to now share a framework, and a lot of that are technologies that McAfee offers. McAfee, as you know, we're part of Intel now. From Intel, McAfee, we offer all of that, but I'm not going to get down to solutions. I'm going to really focus on the framework. Now look at any particular enterprise setup here. You'll have endpoint, You'll have a network security platform, firewalls at the edges. You'll have the gateways through which your traffic will flow, email gateways, and so obviously all of these are there in isolation. They do their job well. Now, the right way to move forward is, can you make them connect their intelligence into one platform where the endpoint intelligence and the firewall intelligence, I'm just giving an example of two endpoints, right at the entry of the enterprise, two really at the endpoint level, can they share their intelligence? And if they can share that, it just makes them more prepared in case of the attack coming up, and they're in a better position to talk to each other and take that decision. So what we are saying is, when you find a threat, or find a malicious code, or find any form of thing which can be construed as threat, can that be done in a more intelligent fashion by connecting all that, right? So what you're saying is, can you find it? After you've found that in a more intelligent fashion, you got to freeze it, because you got to first contain that. But it's not only important to contain it, it's also important that moving from freeze, can you fix it? And fix it in such a way. Today what's happening is, if you see here, a firewall detects a code, a malicious code, and it's really updated itself. But can we find a way of really updating every aspect of our security in real-time basis, so that you're really fixing the problem? So what journey we are in McAfee Intel is to really get that fixed piece well. And I'm going to share about how we're going about doing it. A simple example, look at our body, how it works. We've got sensors in our tips and toes, and every part of the body there is a sensor. But the sensors don't decide what actions we take, whether it is pain, joy, love, hatred, whatever emotions come in. There's a central sensory, board, right? It flows through behind our spine, right? Where the information is flowing. The decision is taken by the brain to take that action, but it flows through a central nervous system. All right? But the points are all through the sensors here. Security is pretty much on the same lines. You look at how I'm sorry. Did I press the? Yep. So you look at how we deploy security. We've got security sensors. Look at from an enterprise standpoint everywhere. You got your assets, you got threats, risks. You do all that. These are like sensor points in enterprise. If you could actually build a central nervous system, and in this case we're calling it as a data exchange layer, which could actually be like information superhighway, where every device is feeding in their intelligence and feeding from that to take that decision, it will be much easier for an organization to figure out things happening on a real-time basis and be able to take that. Exchange layer from McAfee is the next big thing that we think is as a framework to move forward. This is a significant investment we made towards it, where we feel, irrespective of the technologies that you are in, the information highway, really are in a better position to defend. So look at data exchange layer this is a messaging framework, bi-directional messaging framework, where your firewall or IPS endpoint can feed the information and take it back, and in a real-time basis be able to take that decision. So basically, data exchange layer is the step forward in that direction. And how do we do that? While you've created that messaging framework, it's important that the intelligence that's built in there is from all sources. Now, what are the kind of intelligence do you have here? If I build this up for you, so I think some of that font is not clear, so I'm just going to probably make it easy for you. So there is a local intelligence which resides in the bank, in the retail organization, in the manufacturing setups. There's a lot of local intelligence around on the threats. There is this whole global threat intelligence where from cloud you can be continually be fed around what's happening around in the globe on a 24/7 basis, right? So you have organization intelligence, you have global threat intelligence, and all that put together can be put into what we say a threat intelligence exchange. So the framework is, you got the messaging framework, the data exchange layer, and that feeds in from a threat intelligence exchange, where you have local intelligence, you have global intelligence, and any form of intelligence services that you are subscribed to feeds into that. So imagine what better way for you to be able to be ready when there is a threat that comes in, that the threat intelligence is the PI or exchange server, be able to talk to the data exchange layer that enables all the devices and investments that you've done to take that decision. And that is the framework that we think is the right way to move forward to avoid whatever we're all seeing around that. All right, so at the same time, all of us know, right, there is nothing called as 100% security. Right? We just talked about the risk with XP, that, and there's a lot of things that we can do there. But the fact is, are you in a better position? Is your posture in the best position to defend yourself? And we feel that is the right way forward. Again, this is again a little busy slide, but if you look at the way it builds up, and I'm going to probably use the pointer. Can someone help me with the pointer? Just in case I just didn't want to switch it off again. Sorry, thanks. So look at a typical setup here. How it will work here. So you have this is a endpoint. It could be anything, right? A server, desktop, tablet, what have you. And then you have the entire virus scan, right? The server here, all right, which basically keeps a repository of all the signatures. Now, typically, when a threat comes in, all right, it will go and check in the VSC server and say, okay, is there a signature? Most likely, with one malware every second, the signature will not match. So the fact of the matter is, you will always have those mismatches happening. So if that happens, it's going to go back and check with the Threat Intelligence Exchange server and say, okay, do you have any reputation for this code that I'm not seeing? So it's like, so what can the Threat Intelligence server do? It can go back and look at the global intelligence and come back saying, okay, is there any reputation to it, good, bad? And let's assume the worst case, it doesn't have any. All right, so it comes back here. It can then throw it to advanced threat defense. So you'll have heard of technologies like sandboxing and stuff, which really does a quick assessment on a real-time basis. So it'll give it to advanced threat defense box. It'll come and assess and say, okay, we think it could be detrimental for a certain set of environments. So it is going to go back and give a command saying, okay, whether it is the firewall or the IPS, or it's going to give a command saying it needs to block or whatever the action is. But while that is happening, it's important that the firewall, the IPS, the web gateway, email gateway, and all the other investments that are done are quickly updated. Because what could happen in real-time basis is while your firewall might have got updated, it may not end up in being updated at the endpoint level. And why is it important? So some of you might just say if the firewall is blocking it, what's the big deal? Why are we talking about that? Have you all heard of evasion techniques here? There are smart guys who can evade firewalls, and there are at least 100 million plus evasion techniques available on Google. You do a search, it's available. It's very easy. See, nowadays, the good thing is you don't have to be a geek now. Really, even someone like me, with a very low IQ also, I can do that if I want to. By the way, I don't do that for a living, just letting you know. These tools are available. So what's important is, there are tools by which they can split a packet at the firewall level, and you can combine and to create a lot of havoc at the endpoint level on a particular date. I can give you an example where it happened. You heard of Target retail group in US? It's one of the largest consumer electronics chain. They got impacted because of some of these things that happened, undetected by anybody, even by the AV. So you evade the firewall largely because you can split that packet and it looks very innocuous. So the firewall let it go, but at the endpoint level it can create havoc. So it's important that can that endpoint and firewall communicate with each other, and can we have anti-evasion techniques? So all these things, while it may look simple, in real-time basis if it has to work, it really needs tremendous communication between all these devices, irrespective of what technologies you are in. And that is the direction from McAfee we feel is the right way to really secure and be in a posture where you can defend yourself. I'll probably take questions more on this if there are any. So this is the high-level architecture I want to leave in. It's a busy slide, forget it. But you look at whatever business you might be into. If you're banks, RBI has been giving diktat around how you need to secure your data. You need to secure a data center, and a lot of regulations around that. As a technology provider in this space, we can assure you that for a typical SOC requirement from Intel, we almost address 90% of your requirements. So we're happy to do that. Of course, work with partners. You had HCL here. Again, we've got always work with partners there. But idea is really don't look at the best firewall or the best IPS or the best AV only. It is important, but look at a hacker's mentality, how it works. It knocks at the door is fine, it will knock at the window is fine, it will knock at the skylight, it will look at some ways of moving in. And there is no ways. If I could give you some intelligence by which the door can talk to the window, and window say, and probably talk to the skylight, tell him, I just had an attack at the door, so be careful about the attack coming to you. How well prepared are you? And that is what has been missing in security with the kind of investments that have happened in the last decade. So my submission here is, in a way I'm trying to make it a little controversial. I'm not saying that you're not secure. You've invested there. A lot of you are my customers here. So for a moment I'm saying, good job done. This is not enough. It's just not enough because the way the threats are going real time, your defense mechanisms has to be real time. And of course, if I add in the complexity of devices, the fact that those devices which are physical now are going to get digital. You know, you heard about refrigerator spamming in Korea. All right, these are what realities staring at you on this cloud, angle coming in. You have all the more reason to really look at making your business secure real time. So we're happy to give you even more details. I've got team here, probably interact with it, but if there's some time for questions, I'm happy to take a few questions. Yeah? Any questions on data exchange layer or anything that I can address? I'll be happy, or anything to do with Intel, probably, or security for that matter. If I can answer, I will. Yes.
I'm Panda from Regulatory Commission, Hyderabad. You told that packet will be split into two and it will be recombined. What is the tool name? Can you just tell us?
Okay. So this is called evasion. These are called evasion techniques. If you go and do a search there, so people who, if you look at the hacking community, it's a big one. You have ways of evading by splitting the packet and make it look innocuous. And when they combine at the endpoint level, they become detrimental. All right. So what we work on, we got next generation firewall from our acquisition StoneSort, which works on anti-evasion techniques all the day. So on the firewall engine, we run an anti-evasion tool which constantly monitors this. Otherwise, it goes undetected. So typically, what happens is those packets will go back and combine at endpoint, and you could set a date saying, okay, Christmas date, when everybody will be on vacation, create havoc out there. And there are about millions of, hundreds of millions of these evasion techniques available.
Coming back to your earlier slide regarding data exchange.
Yeah. Should I go back there?
Yeah, if you can.
Sorry.
So the question is, how would you integrate this framework of yours with other products? So like a plugin, or how would you collaborate between vendors? How would that work out with you?
So we already have something called as real time on our endpoint, which is we call e-policy orchestrated in real time, which is there. What we've extended that is something called as real time command. We call it RTC. Real time command is available from us right now, which integrates all the products, and it works in simple English language. I just said, someone like me who doesn't understand those telnet languages, I really don't know. It's a simple English query where you say, okay, tell me at this point in time for this environment what kind of communication is happening at the application layer for this set of servers, and it can give you that response back in less than 45 to 60 seconds. Does this include all that? It currently integrates with all brands,
including other vendor products.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
And data exchange layer again takes that to the next level, where it takes a real-time command and creates APIs by which you can integrate all products there. And that's what is right for customer, right?
But do you think any challenges from a vendor side to integrate from another product, or would they find it difficult to integrate your plugins to their? Wouldn't it have any impacts like that, or any challenges you might face?
See, if you look at our EPO, we've actually opened our EPO almost a decade back. This is not something new from McAfee as a philosophy, because we think it is right for customers. So EPO is already open to almost 170 players for last 10 years. All right, today we've got 170. A lot of them are competing brand which ride on our EPO, that is what we think is right for customer. All right. So while you buy the product on merits, just simply having the best product is not enough. Connecting that intelligence is important. So plus the way the real-time command works. I can give you some more details. It's much easier to integrate all of that. It doesn't need a lot of that effort, and that product is already available right now.
Thank you.
There is today what we have seen that all the vendors, I think it is all community over here to just help us to understand how can we address this major issue which is coming up nowadays. Because what we have seen, there are some practical incidents which has occurred, and it came to media as well. And see that today all the vendors, it could be McAfee, Trend Macro, Cisco, even a lot of top 10. What we have seen, we procure a lot of firmware like hardware this particular solution, this solution. How do we ensure that you itself are not culprit? I mean that there are some malware infected in the device which takes my data to the outside. And this has been seen, and we have done that, and this case is going on that. So is there any supply chain management and certification of your devices or your solutions? This is a forum which has gone to China, US, even Barack Obama has also claimed that all the sub-China country or other country where they supply, there should be supply chain certification on the devices itself. They should be certified. Do you agree? Or how are you going to cope up with this? This is a practical issues across everybody is facing that. This is a challenge which I can see that. Can you help us on that?
I can make it on a more lighter note. Don't buy Chinese product. Keep life easy. I used to say that when I was in Cisco. I'm saying that here in McAfee also. Same thing. Pretty easy. But on a serious note, you're right. So security companies have been accused of starting this on their own, and we know that. But the fact is that I don't even want to answer it because firstly there is no truth to it. All right. I think if you see our mantra in McAfee Intel, we say safe never sleeps. All right. The fact of the matter is today the bad guys are not sleeping and the threats are there. And as security vendors, our job is to make you secure. Now, the trust is not implicit. Gone are the days when you could say that trust is. So trust is not implicit now. So it's important that apart from technology, you have the right kind of policies and processes put in place. You mentioned about data leakage happening in your organization, on the MDM side, and I heard you talking about that, right? So the fact is, are you putting in enough measures to find out when it is happening? All right, and what countermeasures are you taking? Are you encrypting your data? Encryption is the start of data leakage prevention. After that, have you put in the right kind of policies for every department, for every user? Do you know when the leakage is happening? The answer to that is technology is there to make it happen for you. But as process, if you don't follow it, it will not detect it. And that is the basis of today. My presentation is not about saying, you got the best of technology, so what? If they're not talking to each other, how will you defend yourself? A data leakage is a lot about that. In isolation, you're protecting the devices, but you don't know when data is in flow and what kind of leakage is happening. You can blame the vendor, but the fact is that technology is not the issue there. It's really the process and the policy.
I believe that question is not that. See, practically what is every organization will have certain measure and their solution on that. My objective was to understand, is that any practices or certification or any kind of ensuring that your device plug into my organization are malware free, spyware free. Do we have any that's a particular source management where your devices itself certification have carry this three ensuring that this channel, that this particular device is totally this is spyware free or malware free, these devices I'm going to plug into your area itself, in your business. I'm talking about that part. See, leakages, of course, this is our, we know that how to deal with that. What if vendor itself is a culprit?
So there are two ways of doing it. There are vendor services available, right? McAfee, we have something called posture assessment that we do directly. But if you really want to trust a third party, I would say there are a lot of third party service providers who can come and, like we have HCL here, I know where Prashant is. Prashant's organization can do that for you. They can do a complete posture assessment and tell you, okay, whatever investments you've done, they are malware free or not. So there are multiple ways for you to get that certified. And I would always suggest do that periodically, because security is a journey, it's not a destination. You can't never say that today I'm secure, so tomorrow I will be. And if somebody makes that claim, you just have to rubbish it. No more questions?
Thank you, sir.
All right.
That was the Managing Director, McAfee. May I please request Mr. Rishi Kapoor, who is the Sector Head ET, Edge, to please step forward and present a mentor to Jagdish Mahapatra. Thank you, Mr. Mahapatra, for that detailed presentation. Thank you so much.